the 50-story fall would take exactly 4.7 seconds. Isaac Whitford calculates this absently as he stands at his penthouse window, 30 stories above Chicago. Not that he's contemplating jumping. Suicide would be inefficient. But the mathematics of mortality often occupy his mind during sleepless nights like this one. A crystal tumbler shatters at his feet, scotch spreading like blood across Italian marble. He doesn't remember dropping it. Another blackout. The third this week. "Sir?" His assistant's voice through the intercom sounds concerned. "Are you all right? I heard—" "I'm fine." His voice betrays nothing. Control is everything. "Your 8 a.m. canceled. What's next?" "The board needs your acquisition decision by noon. And Dr. Peterson called again about your test results." Isaac's eyes fix on his reflection in the window. Immaculate. Suit, perfect posture, empty eyes. Behind him, the penthouse stretches in minimalist perfection. No photographs, no mementos, nothing to suggest a human lives here rather than a machine that generates wealth. On his desk, the Financial Times features his face, Whitford, the man who never sleeps. Beside it, his phone lights up. 10th anniversary of parents' death. He dismisses it without pause, as he's done every year. "Cancel all appointments," he says. "Book the jet for Atlanta tonight. I'll sleep on the plane." "Sir, that's the third. Canceled dinner this month. Dr. Peterson said your heart—" "I don't pay doctors to critique my schedule." His voice drops to ice. The Atlanta deal closes tonight before Griffin interferes. A magazine cover on the wall catches his eye. Whitford Brothers, Silicon Valley's new royalty. Isaac and Griffin standing back to back. Same jawline, different souls, his brother's easy smile contrasting with his own calculated gaze. As Isaac turns away, his fingers brush something hidden among his awards, a single white piano key mounted in a small frame. For just a heartbeat, something human flickers in his eyes. His phone rings. Griffin on the screen. What part of "I'll handle Atlanta" wasn't clear? Isaac snaps, turning away from the piano key. As he argues, his hand knocks the frame onto the carpet. It lands face down, unseen, forgotten. Later, his driver navigates Chicago traffic as Isaac reviews acquisition documents on his tablet. Numbers that will make him another billion. Figures that fail to fill the void expanding in his chest. "Beautiful sunset tonight, sir," the driver ventures. Isaac doesn't look up. The growing pressure behind his left eye suggests another blackout approaching. "I don't pay attention to sunsets. They happen every day." The pain intensifies. He loosens his tie, finding it suddenly hard to breathe. Something isn't right. As the pressure in his chest builds, the tablet slides from his fingers. His last thought before darkness claims him isn't of his empire, his wealth, or the deal he won't complete. It's of a melody he hasn't played in 20 years. And a name. June. Little does he know that after tonight, if he survives, he will count each sunset, and they will matter more than all the empires he's built. Griffin Whitford paces in his downtown loft. Where Isaac's space is minimalist and cold, Griffin's is chaotic and alive. Half-finished projects scattered everywhere, takeout containers stacked beside expensive wine bottles, blueprints, and coding. Notebooks open on every surface. He's on the phone, watching a live tracking app that shows Isaac's car heading to the airport. The blue dot moves steadily through Chicago traffic. "He's on the move early," Griffin says, voice tight with tension. Inform our friends in Atlanta. Tonight's the night. Griffin moves to a wall covered with financial charts and company organizational structures. At the center, highlighted in red marker, Succession Plan. Beneath it, several scenarios mapped, out in Griffin's erratic handwriting, all ending with his name at the top. His phone buzzes with the text. What if he survives? Griffin's fingers hover over the screen before typing. Then make sure he doesn't remember who he is. He opens a hidden safe behind a framed coding award, removing a copy of Isaac's will, stamped Contingency Copy. Next to it sits a family, photo in a tarnished silver frame. Young Isaac at piano, Griffin watching from background, their parents standing proudly behind both. The father's hand rests on Isaac's shoulder while Griffin stands slightly apart. Griffin's finger traces over Isaac's image, then crumples the photo. "You always were Father's favorite," he whispers to the empty room. "The musical prodigy, the business genius." He tosses the photo into a trash can. "Let's see who remembers you when you're gone." He pours himself a drink, the same expensive whiskey Isaac prefers. Griffin grimaces at the taste but finishes it anyway. On his walls hang degrees and certifications, always second best to Isaac's achievements. His MIT diploma hangs beside a framed newspaper article. Younger Whitford joins Brothers Empire as CTO. Griffin's phone rings. His contact in Atlanta. "Everything's arranged," the voice confirms. "The driver understands what needs to happen. It'll look like an accident." "No traces," Griffin insists. "And if by some miracle he survives?" The backup plan is in place. A man with no memory is no threat to anyone. Griffin ends the call and walks to the window. From here he can see Isaac's building, taller, more prestigious than his own. He raises his glass in a mock toast. "To the king," he says bitterly. "Long live the king." Rain pounds the interstate outside Atlanta. Isaac's rental car windshield wipers struggle against the downpour as headlights from oncoming traffic create blinding flashes through the water-streaked glass. His phone, connected to the car system, continues a business call that's lasted through most of the drive from the airport. "The Meridian acquisition will triple our market share in medical tech," Isaac explains, tone crisp despite the hour. "Their neural interface patents alone justify the price. The board has concerns about the timeline," comes the response. "The board hired me to make decisions, not to debate them," Isaac replies, checking his mirrors as he changes lanes. "I'll have preliminary papers signed before I fly back tomorrow." Headlights suddenly appear in his rearview mirror. Too close. Too fast. Isaac adjusts his position on the road, but the car behind matches his movements precisely. His business instincts kick in. This is no accident. He accelerates, fingers tightening on the steering wheel. The pursuing vehicle surges forward, ramming his bumper. Isaac's car hydroplanes, spinning toward the guardrail. In that suspended moment, before impact, time slows. The spinning car passes a roadside billboard illuminated by his headlights. Carter County Public Library, where stories find you. The words burn into his vision as metal tiers and glass shatters around him. The car breaches the guardrail, beginning its descent down the embankment. Isaac's mind empties of everything, the company, the wealth, even his name, all except for a single word that repeats like a heartbeat as consciousness fades. June. He doesn't know who June is or why the name comes to him now, but it's the last thought he has before darkness claims him, and the first seed of who he will become. white ceiling, beeping machines. Pain. "He's waking up," a nurse says, her voice seeming to come from far away. A doctor approaches, clipboard in hand. "Sir, can you tell me your name?" Isaac stares blankly. The question should be simple, but his mind is a void where that information should be. Do you know where you are? What day it is? Nothing, just empty spaces where memories should exist. "You were in an accident 3 days ago," the doctor explains gently. "Your car went off the road during the storm. A passing motorist called it in." He pauses. "No identification was found at the scene or on your person. No one has reported anyone matching your description missing." Isaac tries to speak, his throat raw. He manages only a single word. "June?" The doctor exchanges glances with the nurse. "Is June your name? Or someone we should contact?" Isaac shakes his head in confusion. The word means something, but he doesn't know what. It feels important, essential, but the connection is lost. "We've been calling you John Doe for now," the nurse says, adjusting his IV. The doctor explains his condition, retrograde amnesia. "Your brain scans show no permanent damage, which is frankly miraculous given the accident. Your memories may return. Gradually, or all at once, or never," Isaac finishes, surprising himself with the clarity of thought despite his missing past. "Try not to force it," the doctor advises. "Sometimes the harder we try to remember, the more elusive memories become." Later, when he's alone, Isaac examines his hands. They're smooth except for calluses on the fingertips, like a musician's, though he doesn't know how he knows this. His body feels strong but stiff, as if used to regular exercise but not physical. Labor. He touches his face, trying to imagine what he looks like. The mirror shows a stranger, early 40s, sharp features, expression guarded even in confusion. A social worker visits, explaining that without ID or insurance information, they can't keep him much longer. She offers temporary housing at a shelter in Carter County. "It's a small town, but the people are kind," she says, "and sometimes a fresh start is easier in a place where no one has expectations of who you should be." Isaac stares out the window, at the unfamiliar landscape. Somewhere in his emptied mind, the word echoes again. June. His only clue, his only connection to whoever he was before. Rain falls again as Isaac, now John, walks through unfamiliar streets. The small town feels both strange and somehow right. His hospital-issued clothing and small bag of donated items mark him as an outsider. Carter County is quaint. A main street with family-owned shops, American flags hanging from lampposts, brick buildings with history etched in their facades. He passes a diner where locals glance curiously through windows, a hardware store closing for the evening, a barber sweeping his doorway. Without memory, every face is equally unfamiliar, every place equally foreign. Yet John feels drawn forward, as if following an invisible thread. The rain intensifies. John seeks shelter under an awning, looking up to see Carter County Public Library etched in stone above ornate wooden doors. The building stands apart from its neighbors, older, grander, a relic of more prosperous times. Inside, the library is warm, quiet, a century-old structure with modern additions. Late afternoon light filters through stained glass windows, casting colorful shadows across wood floors and book-lined walls. The scent of old paper and lemon polish permeates the air. John moves through the space like someone in a dream. His fingers trail along book spines as if they might whisper their stories to him. Each title he reads feels both new and familiar. Knowledge without context, recognition without memory. He finds a secluded reading nook with a window seat overlooking a garden, now glistening with rain. A small, upright piano stands nearby, its lid closed. Something about this corner feels safe, as if he's found a port in the storm of his blank existence. John sits, watching rain pattern the window, when a soft voice breaks his reverie. "We're closing soon, but you're welcome to stay dry until then." He turns to see a young woman, early 30s with warm brown skin and gentle eyes that notice everything but judge nothing. She wears simple clothes, jeans, a cardigan, sensible shoes. Her library badge reads June Carter, Head Librarian. The name hits John like an electric current. "June," he echoes, not understanding why the name resonates. She tilts her head, studying him with quiet curiosity. "Have we met before?" "I don't know," he answers honestly. "I don't remember anything." Instead of the awkward questions or pitying looks he's come to expect, June simply nods and reaches for a book on a nearby cart. She hands it to him. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. "Sometimes," she says, "you don't need to remember your past to rebuild your future." John stares at the book, then back at the librarian, seeing something he hasn't encountered since waking in the hospital. Understanding without pity. "The shelter is 3 blocks east," June adds, "but they lock the doors at 8. If you need somewhere to be until then." She gestures to the reading nook. As she turns to go, John speaks. "Do you need help? Here, I mean." June pauses, considering the stranger. "We could use someone to reshelve books, and the garden needs attention." A small smile. "What should I call you?" He hesitates, uncomfortable with John Doe, the hospital's placeholder. June studies him for a moment. "You look like a Caleb to..." "Me? Caleb," he repeats, testing the sound. "What does it mean?" "Faithful," she answers. "Or wholehearted. Something about this new identity, chosen for him rather than assigned, feels right. A first step toward becoming someone, even if he can't remember who he was." "Caleb," he agrees, and for the first time since the accident, he feels the faintest outline of a self beginning to form. Have you ever felt like starting over with a clean slate? Share your thoughts in the comments. Would you choose to remember everything from your past, or would a fresh start appeal to you? Let us know your perspective as we continue Isaac's journey. Early morning light filters through library windows as June shows Caleb the organization system. Colorful tabs mark different Dewey Decimal sections across the circulation desk. "Each book has its place," June explains. "Fiction, alphabetical by author, nonfiction by subject. It's like a map for knowledge." Caleb absorbs the information with unexpected intensity. His eyes track patterns in the numbering system, seeing connections June hasn't mentioned. So philosophy would be in the 100s, and religion in the 200s, he says, not phrasing it as a question. June raises an eyebrow. "That's right. How did you—" "It just makes sense to me." His hands move with precise efficiency, arranging books with instinctive perfectionism. He squares corners exactly, aligns spines perfectly, checks each placement twice. When faced with unsorted returns, he creates his own organizational system before shelving, revealing someone used to optimizing processes. But when he misfiles a book, placing a biography in history, his reaction is disproportionate. His face flushes with frustration. I should know how to do this. He slams the book down, sound echoing through the quiet library. June doesn't flinch. That reaction tells me something about you. What? His voice tight with self-directed anger. You're used to being competent, being good at everything immediately. She gently takes the book, placing it correctly. Perfectionists struggle most with memory loss. They can't stand not knowing. Caleb stares at his hands. How do you know that? The way you hold yourself, the way you analyze before acting. She smiles. In another life, maybe you were someone important. And now, I'm nobody. Now, you're just beginning. That's different from being nobody. Later, organizing the music section, Caleb's hand freezes over piano compositions. Without thinking, his fingers move as if playing, thumb tucking under with practiced precision. June notices. Do you play? The question startles him. I don't know. There's an old upright in the reading room. I wouldn't know how, he replies, but his fingers continue their silent dance against the book cover. Your hands seem to disagree, June observes. That afternoon, Caleb finds himself drawn to the piano. He doesn't sit, just stands beside it, hand hovering above the closed lid. Something stops him from opening it. Fear of what he might discover about himself. June watches from between stacks, giving him space for this quiet confrontation with his unknown past. Closing time comes with a cloudburst. June looks at the downpour, then at Caleb finishing reshelving returns. Where are you staying? The shelter on Maple. June frowns slightly. That's 15 minutes in this weather, without an umbrella. I don't mind rain, Caleb says, clearly dreading the walk. I live 2 blocks away. You can wait it out there. They walk huddled under her umbrella, June pointing out landmarks, the diner with the best pie, the community center where she teaches, piano, the park where summer concerts happen. How long have you lived here? Caleb asks. All my life, except for college and 2 years of medical school. Carter County is the kind of place people either never leave or never return to. I did both. Her apartment is a converted loft, exposed brick walls, high ceilings, large windows overlooking the town square. Where Isaac's penthouse was minimalist by design, June's space is minimal by necessity. Second-hand furniture arranged with care, homemade shelves, walls covered with botanical prints and maps. Books are everywhere, stacked on tables, filling shelves, piled beside her reading chair. Medical textbooks occupy a special shelf, spines barely creased, a stethoscope hanging from the corner. A skinny orange cat watches their entrance suspiciously from atop a bookcase. That's Fitzgerald. He doesn't trust anyone. Yet, as Caleb settles, cautiously on the worn sofa, the cat approaches, sniffing his outstretched hand before rubbing against it, purring loudly. June looks surprised. He's never done that before, not even with me at first. Animals have good instincts, Caleb says, then adds quietly, even if they're wrong about me. June makes pasta, guiding Caleb through basic cooking techniques. His coordination is excellent, but his uncertainty reveals that cooking wasn't part of his former life. They eat by the window, watching lightning illuminate the town square. The simple meal tastes better than anything Caleb remembers, which he realizes with a sad smile isn't saying much. Why did you leave medical school? He asks as they wash dishes. The question emerges from nowhere, June's hands still in the soapy water. My mother got sick. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4 when they found it. I'm sorry. We couldn't afford the treatments they recommended. I left school to care for her, work extra jobs. Her voice steady, a wound long scarred over. She died anyway, 6 months later. And you didn't go back? The loans were already crushing. And after watching her die because we couldn't afford better care, she shrugs. The system seemed broken. I wasn't sure I wanted to be part of it anymore. So you became a librarian instead. June smiles. Books heal differently than medicine. Slower, maybe, but they still save lives. As they finish cleaning, June pulls out a spare blanket and pillow. The shelter's probably locked by now. You can. Stay here. Caleb hesitates. I don't want to impose. You're not. Sometimes it's nice not to be alone with your thoughts. Their hands brush briefly. A moment of connection, tentative but genuine. That night, lying on June's sofa, Caleb realizes it's the first time since the accident he hasn't felt lost. The rain continues outside, but he's found temporary shelter, not just from the storm, but from the constant vertigo of having no past. The Whitford Technologies boardroom gleams with chrome and glass. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcase Chicago's financial district below. Griffin stands at the head of the table where Isaac usually presides. His posture mimics his brother's confident stance, but where Isaac commanded the room effortlessly, Griffin's authority feels forced. It's been 5 days since my brother's disappearance, Griffin addresses the board members. The Atlanta police have officially classified it as a missing persons case. On the wall screen, Isaac's corporate headshot stares back at them. Confident, calculated, cold. The crash site has been thoroughly examined, Griffin continues. The vehicle was found at the bottom of a ravine, severely damaged. But as you know, there was no... He pauses dramatically. No body found. Regina Winters, the oldest board member and original investor, speaks first. What does that mean, exactly? Is Isaac alive or not? Griffin's expression is practiced concern. The investigators believe the impact could have thrown him from the vehicle. The area is wooded with a river nearby. They're continuing to search, but he lets the implication hang. And there's been no contact. No ransom demands? Ask CFO Lawrence Chen. It seems unlike Isaac to simply vanish. None, Griffin confirms. His phone was destroyed in the crash. His hotel reservation in Atlanta was never claimed. His credit cards and accounts show no activity. What about the Meridian acquisition? Asks Legal Affairs Director Miranda Powell. Isaac was heading to Atlanta specifically to close that deal. Which brings us to the difficult business at hand, Griffin says, opening a leather portfolio. Our corporate bylaws are clear. After 7 days without contact and with evidence of potential, he avoids saying death, instead using incapacitation, emergency succession protocols take effect. He distributes documents to each board member. As Chief Technology Officer and Isaac's only living relative, I'm prepared to step in as acting CEO during this crisis. Several board members exchange glances. Regina speaks again, her voice measured. This seems hasty, Griffin. Your brother has been missing less than a week. Our shareholders are already nervous, Regina, Griffin counters. The market doesn't tolerate uncertainty. Without clear leadership, our stock will plummet and the Meridian deal will collapse. How convenient, murmurs Lawrence just loud enough to be heard. Griffin's smile tightens. I'm sorry? Nothing, the CFO replies. It's just remarkable timing. The night before a major acquisition, your brother disappears, and now you're positioned to take control. Griffin's face darkens. I hope you're not implying what it sounds like, Lawrence. I'm as devastated as anyone in this room. Isaac is my brother? I think what Lawrence means is that the optics are delicate, Miranda interjects smoothly. Perhaps we should wait the full 7 days before making any public statements. The press already has the story. Griffin brings up headlines on the screen. Tech mogul Isaac Whitford missing after crash. Whitford Technologies, leadership in question. As CEO disappears, Griffin Whitford expected to assume control of 8B Company. Our press office needs direction, Griffin insists. Do we project confidence or chaos? The board members exchange glances. Business pragmatism slowly wins out. I move to activate emergency succession protocols, says a younger board member. Second, says another. Regina watches Griffin carefully. Let the record show that this is a temporary measure pending Isaac's return or confirmation of his status. Griffin nods solemnly. Of course, no one hopes for my brother's safe return more than I do. After the meeting, Regina lingers. I knew your father, Griffin. Worked with him for 20 years. So did I, Griffin replies tightly. He always worried about the rivalry between you boys. Her gaze is direct. Said it would destroy his legacy if you couldn't overcome it. Griffin holds her gaze. My brother taught me that business isn't about family sentiment, Regina. It's about results. Indeed. She gathers her papers. Let's hope you remember the difference between business and betrayal. After she leaves, Griffin sits alone. For a moment, the mask of concern slips, revealing a complex mixture of triumph and unease. His phone buzzes with a text. Media statement ready for your approval. Griffin types back, change missing CEO to presumed dead CEO in paragraph 3. Without hesitation, he presses send. Spring storms continue battering Carter County. On Wednesday afternoon, the library lights flicker once, twice, then die completely. Computer screens go black as patrons groan collectively. June emerges from her office with a flashlight. Everyone, stay calm. The backup generator should kick in momentarily. Seconds tick by. Darkness remains. Sorry, folks, June announces. We're having electrical issues. We'll need to close early today. As patrons gather belongings, Caleb approaches June. Where's your circuit breaker? Basement, but the generator should have started automatically. Something bigger must be wrong. I can take a look, he offers. June studies him. You think you know about electrical systems? I won't know until I try, Caleb says with unexpected confidence emerging. They descend narrow stairs to the basement, flashlight beams cutting through dusty air. The library's underbelly is a maze of old pipes, archive shelves, and century-old infrastructure. The electrical panel, recently updated amid antiquated surroundings, reveals a complex array of switches and indicators, all dark. The generator panel is over here. June leads him to a separate system. It's supposed to sense power failure and start automatically. Caleb studies both panels with unusual focus, tracing wires with his eyes, examining connections. The transfer switch has failed, he says with certainty. It's not signaling the generator to start. June stares at him. How could you possibly know that? I just do. Caleb looks as surprised as she is but continues with growing confidence. We could bypass it temporarily. Do you have tools? June finds an old toolbox. Caleb selects screwdrivers and pliers with practiced ease, movements becoming increasingly fluid as he removes the panel cover. Hold the light here, he directs. As June watches, Caleb works methodically, disconnecting and reconnecting wires. This circuit feeds your computers and climate control for the archives, he explains, voice steady. This handles lighting and security. If I connect these points, his hands work quickly. We should get emergency power through the essential circuits. Where did you learn this? June asks softly. Caleb's hands pause momentarily. I don't know, but my hands do. He makes a final connection. Lights flicker on above them. Not all systems come back online, but essential services return. You did it, June breathes, amazed. Caleb stares at his hands as if they belong to someone else. I must have been an electrician or an engineer. You rebuilt a complex electrical bypass in minutes. In the dark, June says. I'd guess more than an electrician. This is high-level knowledge. They climb back upstairs to find Mayor Wilson waiting, his portly figure imposing despite his friendly face. June. Finally, some lights. What happened? Transfer switch failure, she explains. Caleb created a bypass to restore essential systems. The mayor eyes Caleb with newfound interest. Handy skills, young man. Caleb is helping us temporarily, June explains. Well, good timing, Mayor Wilson says. June, I need a word about the library budget. They step aside, but Caleb overhears. The council voted last night, the mayor says quietly. I'm sorry, but the cuts are going through. The library's funding will be reduced by 30% next quarter. June's face falls. That's more than we discussed, Richard. We can't operate on that budget. Not with the roof repairs and now electrical issues. Times are tight everywhere, the mayor says, not unkindly. The tourism district and infrastructure projects took priority. This building has stood for 100 years, June argues. It's the heart of this community. Hearts don't pay bills, the mayor sighs. Look, I fought for you, but you'll need to get creative. Maybe reduce hours, cut programs. After he leaves, June sits heavily at the circulation desk, staring at the budget papers. Bad news, Caleb asks, though he already knows. The worst kind, the slow kind, June says. Death by 1,000 budget cuts. She looks around at the grand old building with its high ceilings and irreplaceable woodwork. This place survived 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and the Internet. Would be a shame if spreadsheets are what finally kill it. Caleb studies his electrical diagram. I can fix the transfer switch permanently tomorrow. Save you an electrician's fee at least. June smiles gratefully, but her worry remains. Thanks. Every little bit helps now. As they close the partially powered library, Caleb notices how June touches books as she passes, like friends she fears losing. Her dedication stirs something unfamiliar in him, a sense of protectiveness. He glances at his electrical diagram, a tangible piece of knowledge reclaimed from his missing past. Perhaps other skills hide in his hands, waiting to be remembered. Saturday morning brings respite from rain. Golden light streams through stained glass windows, creating pools of color across wooden floors. In the reading room, June sits at the old upright piano with 4 children gathered around. Weekend music. Lessons. A community program she started for families who couldn't afford private instruction. Remember, she tells a fidgeting 8-year-old boy, music is just patterns. Find the pattern and your fingers will follow. From his position restocking shelves, Caleb watches. Though focused on his work, his head tilts slightly toward the music, catching each note, each instruction. The children play simple exercises. Mary had a little lamb. Twinkle, twinkle. Small fingers pressing keys with concentration. June is different when teaching music, more animated, her usual calm, punctuated by enthusiastic encouragement. That's it, Zoe. Now try with both hands together. The girl attempts the coordination, face scrunching with effort before dissolving into giggles when her hands tangle. It's okay, June laughs. Piano is like learning to pat your head and rub your stomach at the same time. Your brain needs time to connect the pathways. As morning progresses, Caleb finds excuses to work closer. He arranges periodicals, dusts shelves, always within earshot of lessons. The smallest child, shy 5-year-old Lily, struggles the most. Her frustration builds until tears threaten. June notices. Let's take a break, everyone. 10 minutes to stretch, then we'll try something new. As children scatter, June kneels beside Lily. You know what helped me when I was learning? I pretended my fingers were tiny dancers, each with their own special move. The girl smiles tentatively. This one, June wiggles her thumb, does big jumps. This one, her index finger, twirls in circles. Lily giggles, mimicking the movements. From across the room, Caleb watches their interaction. A strange longing on his face, not for June, but for the unguarded connection between teacher and student, the simple joy of learning. When lessons resume, June introduces a game. Today, we'll be musical detectives. I'll play a pattern, and you try to find it on your keys. She demonstrates a simple 5-note sequence. The children take turns replicating it by ear. Music is a universal language, June explains. Sometimes, your ears understand before your brain does. The morning wraps up with a final exercise, each child playing their best piece while others listen. Pride shines on small faces as they receive applause. As parents arrive for pickup, Lily approaches Caleb shyly. Can you play piano? She asks, looking up at him. Caleb kneels to her level. I don't know. Her forehead wrinkles with confusion. How can you not know? I lost my memories, he explains simply. So, I don't remember if I ever learned. Lily considers this with childlike directness. You should try. Then you'll know. June, overhearing, approaches as the last families depart. Lily's right. Sometimes our bodies remember what our minds forget. Caleb shakes his head. I wouldn't know where to begin. Right here, June pats the piano bench. Just once, then I'll stop pushing. Reluctantly, Caleb sits. The bench feels both foreign and familiar. His posture changes subtly, spine straightening, shoulders relaxing. Just place your hands on the keys, June suggests. Don't think, let your fingers decide. Caleb hesitates, then places his hands on the white keys. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, almost imperceptibly, his fingers begin to move, finding positions that feel right. His right hand forms a C major chord. That's it, June encourages softly. Now, press down. The sound resonates through the empty library. Something flickers across Caleb's face. Recognition, perhaps, there and gone. Try playing anything, June says. Doesn't matter what. Caleb's fingers begin to move tentatively at first, then with increasing confidence. A simple melody emerges. Beethoven's Für Elise, perfectly executed. His left hand joins instinctively, adding bass notes and harmony. June's eyes widen. Caleb continues playing, his expression shifting from surprise to wonder as his hands remember what his mind does not. The piece grows more complex. No longer beginner Beethoven, but an intricate interpretation requiring years of training. He stops abruptly, staring at his hands as if they've betrayed him. Caleb, June says quietly, that's concert-level piano. You're not just good, you're extraordinary. He stands, backing away from the instrument. That wasn't me. I don't know how. It was you, she insists. Your muscles have memory even when your mind doesn't. You must have played for years, decades. Caleb paces, agitated. Then why can't I remember? If I spent that much time learning piano, why is it gone from my mind but not my hands? The brain is complicated. Different types of memory are stored in different areas. Procedural memory, how to do things, often remains when declarative memory, facts and events, is lost. How do you know that? A sad smile. 2 years of medical. School, remember? And a lot of research when my mother's medication affected her memory. Caleb stares at the piano, emotions warring on his face, fear of the unknown past colliding with evidence of who he once was. Whoever you were, June says gently, music was important to you. That's a beautiful thing to rediscover. Or it's just another ghost I can't recognize, he replies. Another piece that doesn't fit. An elderly patron approaches with books. Excuse me, but that was lovely. Do you take requests? The normalcy of the question, as if Caleb is simply a pianist, not a man without a past, breaks the tension. Despite himself, Caleb smiles. Not today, I'm afraid. Still remembering how. As the woman moves away, June touches his arm lightly. For what it's worth, when you were playing, that's the first time you looked peaceful since I met you. Caleb looks back at the piano, a reluctant recognition in his eyes. Whatever his past holds, music is now the first concrete clue to the man he once was. Behind the library, a small garden languishes in neglect. Once a vibrant reading space, now overgrown with weeds choking flower beds. Wrought iron benches rust beneath tangled vines, stone pathways disappear under encroaching grass. Caleb stands at the back door, surveying the space. 3 weeks have passed since his arrival, and the library increasingly feels like his domain alongside June's. It used to be beautiful, June says, joining him. We had a dedicated volunteer, Mrs. Abernathy, but she moved to Florida last fall. No one's had time since. I could restore it, Caleb offers. The weather's improving. It would give the children somewhere to play during music lessons. June smiles. You've noticed how restless they get. Hard to miss Zoe's interpretive dance during scales practice. The project begins that afternoon. June provides basic gardening tools and a key to the shed. Caleb works methodically, clearing debris first, mapping the original design, salvaging salvageable plants. Each day after library duties, he spends hours in the garden. The physical labor differs from shelving books or playing piano, but he approaches it with the same focused intensity. His hands blister, then callous, suggesting outdoor work wasn't part of his previous life. On the fourth day, June brings lemonade and joins him, kneeling beside a flower bed he's clearing. "You're transforming it already," she observes, "though your technique suggests you've never gardened before." "My body agrees," Caleb says, showing his blistered palms. June examines his hands, her touch clinical yet gentle. "You need gloves, and this needs ointment." She retrieves a first aid kit from inside. As she applies antibiotic cream to his palms, Caleb studies her profile, the focused expression similar to when she repairs damaged books. "Did you always want to be a doctor?" he asks. June's hands pause momentarily. "Since I was 12. My grandmother got sick, and I was fascinated by the doctors, how they could understand what was happening inside a person just by asking questions and listening. Yet you left medicine for books." "I left medical school, not healing," she corrects. "There are different ways to help people." She wraps his worst blisters. "My mother used to garden. Said it was the perfect medicine. Sunshine, physical work, creating beauty." Her voice softens with memory. "After her diagnosis, when she was too weak to dig, I'd bring her out in a wheelchair. She'd direct me where to plant things she'd never see bloom. They work in companionable silence," June pointing out perennials worth saving. Her knowledge of plants rivals her knowledge of books, Latin names, growing conditions, medicinal properties. "These are echinacea," she explains, indicating purple coneflowers. "Native plants are best. They know how to survive here." "Like you," Caleb observes. June looks up, surprised by the insight. "You came back to your roots," he continues, "where you know how to survive." "I suppose I did." She smiles thoughtfully. "Though sometimes I wonder if surviving is enough." As they reach for the same trowel, their hands touch. Unlike the clinical contact of bandaging, this touch lingers, unintentional but electric. Both pull away quickly, but something shifts between them. That evening, as sunlight fades, they survey their progress. Already the garden's bones are re-emerging, formal layout visible now that weeds no longer obscure the design. "It's going to be beautiful again," June says. "It just needed someone to remember what it was meant to be," Caleb replies, not realizing the parallel to his own situation until the words leave his mouth. June notices residents slowing as they pass the library fence, pointing approvingly at the garden's revival. "People are noticing. You're becoming part of the community, Caleb." The name still feels borrowed, but less so each day. He's building a new identity through tangible accomplishments. Organized bookshelves, repaired electrical systems, a rejuvenated garden. Whether or not he recovers his past, Caleb is creating a present worth inhabiting. Midnight in Carter County. Caleb tosses in his narrow bed above the shelter, sheets tangled around his legs, sweat beading on his forehead. In his dream, he's trapped in a car filling with water. The seatbelt won't release. Outside, a shadowy figure watches, making no move to help. Rain pounds the glass until it cracks, water rushing in. Caleb wakes with a scream caught in his throat, bolting upright. The nightmare felt more vivid than usual, more memory than dream. He crosses to the window, gulping cool night air. Below, Carter County's main street lies deserted, streetlights creating pools of yellow on wet pavement. Sleep won't return tonight. Caleb dresses and heads outside. Without conscious decision, his feet carry him toward the library. The two-story brick building stands dark except for a single light in June's apartment. As he approaches, the light goes out. But minutes later, her silhouette appears on the small balcony overlooking the garden. "Caleb," she calls softly, "is everything all right?" "Just walking. Couldn't sleep. Sorry if I disturbed you. I was awake anyway. Wait there." She reappears moments later at the garden gate with 2 steaming mugs. "Chamomile," she says, offering one. "My mother's cure for restless nights." They sit on the garden bench, Caleb restored. "Bad dreams?" June asks. Caleb nods, more vivid than before, almost like memories returning, maybe fragments, nothing coherent. He rubs his temples. Just water, being trapped, someone watching. Me drown. What triggered it, do you think? An old newspaper in the archive room. There was an article about a car accident. He sips the tea. Something about it seemed familiar. The brain makes connections in recovery, June says. Sometimes painful ones first. The garden is different at night. Shadowed yet peaceful. Freshly turned earth mingles with blooming jasmine. Lightning bugs blink like earthbound stars. "I had a dream, too," June admits. "About my father. You never mention him. He left when I was 8, just drove away, never returned." She traces her mug rim. "In the dream, he's teaching me piano, but his face keeps changing. Into who? Different people. My mother, my professors. You." The admission hangs between them. "When I was young, before he left, he'd play piano on Sunday mornings while my mother made pancakes." She offers a sad smile. "I started lessons after. He left. My mother said I had his hands." Caleb stares at his own hands. What happens when fragments return but not the whole picture? What if I only ever get pieces? Then you build something new from the pieces you have, June says simply, like we're doing with the garden. Comfortable silence falls. In the distance, a train whistle sounds, lonesome echo traveling across the sleeping town. "I had a father," Caleb says suddenly, surprising them both. "Most people do," June says with gentle humor. "No, I mean, I remembered something." His voice grows excited. "He was strict, made me practice piano for hours." June turns to face him fully. "What else?" Caleb closes his eyes, chasing the memory. White grand piano in a room with tall windows. He'd stand behind me while I played, counting beats, correcting posture. Was he a musician? No, but he valued perfection. The word emerges with certainty. He said, "Excellence isn't optional. It's expected." "What about your mother?" June asks gently. The question breaks his concentration. Memory fragments dissolve. Gone. It's gone now. "But it came back once," June reminds him. "That's progress." What if I don't like who I was? What if I remember and wish I hadn't? Then you'll have a choice. We're not bound to be who we were. Every day is a decision. "I don't know who I was," Caleb says finally, "but I know who I want to be now." Who's that? Someone who makes things better instead of just accumulating. Someone who builds rather than consumes. He gestures toward the garden. Someone who leaves places better than he found them. June smiles, understanding the significance. His first articulation of identity based not on recovering memories, but on creating a future. When they finally part, June to her apartment, Caleb back to the shelter, both feel the subtle shift in their connection. No longer merely librarian and amnesiac volunteer, but two people choosing to share their stories, their silences, their midnights. Griffin Whitford strides through Whitford Technologies' executive floor, employees parting before him like water. Unlike Isaac's measured pace, Griffin moves with barely restrained energy, staccato steps, barking orders into his earpiece. The Meridian transition needs to happen this quarter, he snaps, entering Isaac's office, now his. Tell them the terms are non-negotiable. Where Isaac maintained minimalist order, Griffin's working style has brought controlled chaos. Multiple screens display data streams, market projections. Half-empty coffee cups and takeout containers suggest long hours. His assistant enters. The private investigator is here. Malcolm Rivera places a folder on Griffin's desk, weathered face revealing nothing. You found something? Griffin asks. A John Doe matching your brother's description turned up in a small town outside Atlanta. Carter County. Griffin tenses. Alive? Very much so. Working at a local library. Griffin opens the folder to surveillance. Photos of Caleb gardening, shelving books, sitting with a woman at a cafe. Despite casual clothes and relaxed demeanor, Griffin recognizes Isaac immediately. Goes by Caleb now, Rivera explains. Classic retrograde amnesia. No ID when admitted. Nobody searching for him. Because everyone thinks he's dead, Griffin murmurs. Your press release was quite convincing. Stock dropped only 8%. What does he remember? Hard to say. He's been there 4 weeks without contacting anyone from his former life. Works for room and board. Seems to have no idea who he really is. Griffin studies a photo showing Isaac laughing with a woman, his expression more open than Griffin has. Seen in years. Who's the woman? June Carter, local librarian, former medical student. No criminal record or suspicious connections. Griffin paces. Is he faking it? Rivera shrugs. To live in poverty in the middle of nowhere, no access to his accounts, his identity, his power, his amnesia is consistent with the accident. Trauma plus possible hypoxia if he was underwater. So, my brilliant, ruthless billionaire brother is now a nobody who gardens and shelves books. Griffin laughs sharply. If I wrote this as fiction, no one would believe it. What do you want me to do? Alert authorities? Bring him back? Griffin considers. The board has named him CEO. The Meridian acquisition is proceeding under his direction. The stock has stabilized. Everything he wanted is now his. Nothing yet. Continue monitoring. If his memory shows signs of returning, alert me immediately. And if someone recognizes him? In Carter County? Griffin scoffs. Place doesn't even have a Starbucks. After Rivera leaves, Griffin pulls an old photo from the desk drawer. 2 young boys at a piano, the older playing, the younger watching. With naked admiration, triumph mixes with something darker across Griffin's face. He'd wanted to defeat his brother, to take what Isaac had, but he'd imagined a conscious Isaac bearing witness. What satisfaction is there in winning against a man who doesn't know he's lost? Griffin checks the Carter County Library website. A recent post shows the garden with our new volunteer Caleb credited for the transformation. Isaac, no, Caleb, smiles without calculation. This smile reaches his eyes. Griffin closes the laptop sharply and pours himself a drink from Isaac's. Private stock. The familiar burn can't wash away the unsettling realization. His brother, who never seemed at peace driving their billion-dollar empire, looks happier shelving books for minimum wage. To amnesia, Griffin toasts the empty office. The great equalizer. His phone interrupts. The board chair calling. Griffin straightens, switching to CEO mode, sweeping his brother's photos into a drawer. But as he answers, his eyes drift to the family photo he couldn't bring himself to throw away. Evidence of connection he simultaneously resents and craves. The victory feels hollow, its edges sharp enough to wound the victor. Hidden talents often emerge when we least expect them. Has someone in your life ever discovered an ability they didn't know they possessed? Or have you uncovered unexpected talents in yourself? Share your stories in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to catch the moment when Isaac's past collides with his new life in the next part. Weather warnings blare across Carter County's emergency radio. A massive storm approaches, threatening flash floods and high winds. June speaks with Mayor Wilson by phone. Yes, I understand the severity. No evacuation yet, but we're taking precautions. She addresses Caleb and volunteers at the circulation desk. Storm front hits at 7. Power outages and flooding expected. Caleb studies the library blueprints. We need to move rare books upstairs, he says, pointing to vulnerable areas, and secure the stained glass windows. June delegates tasks to the volunteers, Mrs. Abernathy's group handling historical documents, George calling the high school football team to help with heavy lifting. After 2 months working together, June and Caleb move with synchronized efficiency. Their wordless communication speaks to a deeper connection forming between them. Worried about the children's section roof, June says. I reinforced it last week, Caleb confirms. But the northeast corner still needs work. Let's move valuables away for now. Outside, storm clouds darken the sky prematurely. Wind shakes trees surrounding Caleb's rejuvenated garden. Throughout the afternoon, the library transforms. Football players form a human chain moving books upstairs. Community members bring emergency supplies. Caleb orchestrates preparations with natural leadership that surprises both himself and June. In these focused moments, June glimpses shadows of who he might have been before, someone accustomed to command and problem-solving under pressure. As twilight approaches, volunteers depart. The library stands prepared, collections relocated, windows reinforced, emergency supplies ready. You should go too, June tells Caleb. Your shelter room isn't safe. I'm staying, he says simply. The pumps might fail if we lose power. Rain begins gently, then intensifies to horizontal sheets. Through windows they watch as the town empties. Businesses closing early. In the staff room, they prepare for a long night. June makes sandwiches while Caleb checks lantern batteries. The domestic scene brings a shared smile. We've become quite the team, June observes. Hard to believe there was life before this, Caleb replies, then quieter. Sometimes I'm almost grateful I can't remember. June studies him, hearing his undercurrent of fear, not of the storm, but of what might be lost if memory returns. Whatever came before made you who you are now, she says gently, even without remembering it. The building shudders as a powerful gust hits. Lights flicker but hold. Tree branches scrape against windows like desperate fingers. During final checks, they pause in the reading room before the piano Caleb now plays daily. June's sheet music sits organized with his notations in margins, evidence of skills returning through practice rather than memory. If the power goes, June says, we'll need the piano for morale. Since when does a library need morale officers? Caleb smiles. Since the apocalypse decided to visit Carter County, she replies with matching humor. Their laughter creates a bubble of warmth against the storm's fury. Standing beside the piano that first revealed his hidden talents, Something shifts between them, unspoken attraction crystallizing into awareness too strong to ignore. June looks away first. We should check the basement pumps again. In the basement, water already seeps through the foundation. Caleb confirms the sump pump is working despite increasing flow. Going to be a long night, he says, voice nearly drowned by overhead thunder. June nods, understanding he means more than just the weather. Something else approaches. A different kind of storm brewing between them and within Caleb as memory fragments continue surfacing. They climb back upstairs just as the library plunges into darkness. Carter County's power grid has surrendered to the storm. In sudden darkness, they stand frozen on the staircase, illuminated only by flashlights and lightning flashes. The building's sounds amplify. Century-old wood creaking, persistent rain drumming, wind finding every crevice. And so it begins, June whispers, steady despite surrounding darkness. She couldn't know her words would mark not just the storm's peak, but the collision of Caleb's present with Isaac's forgotten past. Lightning transforms the library interior into stark contrasts. Black shadows and brilliant white flashes through stained glass. Thunder vibrates through the foundation. Power grids completely down, June confirms. Could be dark for days. They heat and establish command in the reading room. Caleb arranges lanterns in a circle, creating an island of warm light. Rain batters windows like desperate fists. June unpacks emergency supplies while a battery-powered radio crackles. Flash flood warnings remain in effect. Residents advised to shelter in place. Roof is holding, Caleb reports after checking upstairs. Minor leaks, but tarps are catching them. He stops abruptly. June has arranged candles around the piano, making it glow with unusual beauty and flickering light. What's this? Practical psychology, she explains. Sound affects mood. We could use something besides wind and emergency broadcasts. The piano stands like an invitation. Over recent weeks, it has become Caleb's refuge, where his hands remember what his mind cannot. Play something, June asks, settling into a nearby armchair. Something peaceful. Caleb hesitates, then sits. His fingers hover before beginning Debussy's Clair de Lune, a piece his body knows intimately, though his conscious mind struggles to recall learning it. The delicate notes rise above the storm's percussion. June closes her eyes, allowing music to transport her from danger to peace. When he finishes, silence between them feels charged with unspoken emotion. My mother loved that piece, June says. She had an old vinyl record of classical piano she'd play on Sundays. Was she musical? Not particularly, but she appreciated beauty. June moves beside him on the bench. She taught me this melody when I was young. Her fingers pick out a gentle folk-like tune. Hesitant at first, then with growing confidence. A haunting lullaby with undertones of melancholy. It's beautiful, Caleb says when she finishes. Your turn, June challenges softly. Can you play it back? Caleb reproduces the melody perfectly, adding complementary harmonies. June watches his hands with quiet admiration. Now together, he suggests. They begin playing in unison, hands occasionally brushing. Outside, the storm rages, but within their circle of candlelight, time seems suspended. June adds a variation. Caleb follows, then expands upon it. What begins as a simple folk tune evolves into something more complex as they communicate through music rather than words. When June withdraws her hands, Caleb continues playing, the melody transforming into something richer, yet retaining the original's emotional core. His eyes close, fingers moving with increasing confidence and complexity. June recognizes something significant occurring, his body remembering what his mind cannot. Caleb's playing intensifies, revealing years of classical training. This is no longer the library volunteer playing, but someone with profound musical education and extraordinary talent. Suddenly, his hands freeze, creating a discordant sound. His eyes open wide, staring at nothing. "Caleb?" June touches his arm. "Are you all right?" "Whitford," he whispers like a revelation. "Isaac Whitford." "What did you say?" "My name is Isaac Whitford." His voice sounds different, more precise. The soft drawl replaced by crisp, measured cadence. Caleb, now Isaac, stares at his hands. "I was playing this piece the night before my parents' funeral. Never finished it." "You remember?" June asks, barely audible above the storm. "Everything." He breathes, equal parts wonder and horror. It's all coming back. The transformation is visible. Posture straightening, chin lifting, shoulders squaring with unconscious authority. Even his facial expressions alter, becoming more contained, controlled. "Griffin," he says suddenly, anger flashing. "My brother arranged the accident. He wanted control of the company." Lightning illuminates June's shock as she witnesses Caleb disappearing, replaced by a stranger named Isaac. "I'm the CEO of Whitford Technologies," he continues, words spilling out. "Chicago headquarters, satellite offices in 6 countries. We were acquiring Meridian Medical Systems, neural interface technology for revolutionary prosthetics." He stands, pacing with new energy. "I was driving to Atlanta to close the deal. Griffin opposed it, claimed it was too expensive. But he really just wanted my position." June watches this metamorphosis silently, growing distance evident in her eyes. "The board must think I'm dead. Griffin would have ensured that. He's probably taken control already." He turns to June, seeing her through new eyes, no longer his anchor in amnesia, but witness to his awakening. "I have to go back," he states with certainty. "Reclaim what's mine. Stop whatever damage Griffin has done." A violent thunderclap shakes the building, breaking Isaac's monologue, bringing him back to present reality. He notices June's expression. Careful, neutrality barely hiding pain. "June," he says, voice softening. "I'm sorry, this must be—" "Who are you?" she interrupts. The question carries multiple layers, asking which version of the man before her is real. He hesitates. "I'm Isaac Whitford, born in Chicago. Piano prodigy, MIT graduate at 20, technology empire builder." Then, softly, "But for the past 2 months, I've been Caleb, library volunteer, gardener, man with no past but a present that felt authentic. And which one feels more real to you now?" The question strikes him like a physical blow. Before he can answer, a tremendous crash echoes from upstairs. The storm has breached the building. "We need to check that," June says, professional instincts overriding personal turmoil. As they investigate, Isaac feels his identity doubling, past self surging forward while Caleb's simpler existence recedes like a tide pulling away from shore. The time they locate the damage, a fallen branch has shattered a window, Isaac's mind races with implications of his returned memory. Corporate strategies, technological innovations, financial maneuvers, his former life reconstructing itself. Yet, watching June efficiently direct emergency repairs, he feels loss of something precious. The man who could simply exist in this moment, helping protect books from rain, without an empire's weight upon his shoulders. They work silently, moving books away from the damaged window, positioning buckets to catch rain. The physical labor grounds him temporarily, but his mind continues frantically reassembling his previous existence. When they return to the reading room, soaked but successful, Isaac turns to June, gripping her hands. "I remember everything. I'm Isaac Whitford, and I need to go back." The candles flicker, shadows dancing across their faces. Outside, the storm begins to abate, having changed everything within. Morning arrives with exhausted clarity. The storm has passed, leaving Carter County battered but standing. Sunlight illuminates water damage, fallen debris, and two people irrevocably changed by night's revelations. In June's office, Isaac sits before her computer. On screen, headlines tell his story from the bizarre perspective of both subject and observer. Tech mogul. Isaac Whitford presumed dead. Whitford Technologies names Griffin. Whitford new CEO, markets steady as Whitford Tech. Transitions. His company photo stares back, a stranger in expensive tailoring. Isaac touches the screen, tracing contours of a face simultaneously his and not his. 3 months, he murmurs. It's been 3 months. June stands in the doorway, maintaining careful distance since his memories returned, polite but withdrawn. The acquisition went through, Isaac notes while scrolling. Griffin completed the Meridian deal but restructured it. He's dismantling the medical technology division, the entire reason I wanted the company. Is that bad? Short-sighted. Profitable immediately, disastrous long-term. He runs a hand through his hair, a gesture more Caleb than Isaac. Classic. Griffin. Always choosing instant gratification. Isaac absorbs his altered landscape. His presumed death made news before fading. His penthouse sold. Car collection auctioned. Personal effects distributed. Like reading my own obituary, he says softly. June approaches, breaking her self-imposed distance. Must be overwhelming. What's strange is how distant it feels, like reading about someone else's life. A life I'm not sure I want back. The admission hangs between them, unexpected yet truthful. June sits across from him, professional composure slipping. Then don't go back. It's not that simple. It could be. Isaac gestures toward the screen. Griffin deliberately caused my accident. Left me for dead. He's systematically undoing years of my work, dismantling projects that could help millions. So this is about justice? Or revenge? The question cuts uncomfortably close. Isaac stands, pacing. It's about responsibility. I built something meaningful. I can't abandon it because he stops, but June completes his thought. Because you found happiness elsewhere? Their eyes meet, the unspoken thing between them finally approaching surface. I liked Caleb, June says quietly, not because he forgot who he was, but because he was finally free to be someone real. Isaac flinches slightly. And you think Isaac isn't real? I think Isaac built walls so high he couldn't see over them anymore. The man I knew these past months noticed sunsets, played piano for joy, took pride in a garden. Did Isaac ever allow himself those things? The question strikes with precision. Isaac returns to the computer, pulling up his corporate biography, awards, acquisitions, innovations. Nowhere does it mention the man who loves Debussy, finds peace in simple labor. I built a company that employs thousands, he says defensively, created technologies that changed industries. I'm not diminishing those achievements, June clarifies. I'm asking if they made you happy. Isaac falls silent, confronted with a question he never permitted himself to consider. His former existence's crushing loneliness becomes painfully clear: empty penthouse, transactional relationships, life measured only in accomplishments rather than moments. I don't know if I knew what happiness was, he admits. June moves toward the window, watching the town beginning repairs. Community members help each other clear fallen branches, patch roofs, restore order. Both men are real, she says. Isaac with his brilliance and drive. Caleb with his compassion and presence. The question is whether they can exist in the same person. Isaac feels the weight of her insight, the challenge of integration rather than choosing between selves. Your brother's actions can't go unchallenged, June continues, and your company needs your vision, not his stripped-down version. You think I should go back? You need to finish what you started, both as Isaac and as Caleb. The distance between them has transformed, no longer withdrawal, but careful space of someone helping another find their path. What about us? Huey asks, more vulnerable than intended. June's expression softens with sadness. There is no us, Isaac. There was June and Caleb, two people building something genuine in a small-town library. That world and your corporate empire don't overlap. They could, he suggests. She shakes her head. The man reclaiming a technology empire and confronting his brother's betrayal needs to focus on that battle. And I have my own purpose here. The library around them bears evidence of their shared months. Reorganized shelves, repaired electrics, rejuvenated garden. Small achievements that transformed a community rather than markets. I should go, Isaac says, decision crystallizing. The longer Griffin believes I'm gone, the more damage he'll do. June nods, professional mask returning. I'll help make arrangements. By noon, the plan is set. Isaac will take the afternoon bus to Atlanta, establish his identity with the lawyers, help, then proceed to Chicago to confront Griffin and reclaim his position. Walking through the library one final time, Isaac sees through divided vision, Caleb's attachment to each corner blending with Isaac's analytical assessment of aging infrastructure. The library needs investment, he says suddenly. New roof, updated electrical, expanded children's section. June smiles slightly. Add it to the town's wish list. I could help. Once things are settled, don't make promises from the threshold, June interrupts gently. Decide who you are first, then determine what you want to build or rebuild. At the main entrance, Isaac's small bag of belongings waits, the few possessions accumulated during his time as Caleb. Everything else he's leaving behind. The garden needs attention, he says, reluctant to leave. The irrigation system isn't finished. We'll manage, June assures him. That's what communities do. Their goodbye remains restrained, too much unresolved for anything else. No declarations, no promises, just acknowledgement of a chapter closing. Thank you, Isaac says simply, for everything. June nods, emotions carefully contained. Remember what you learned here, not just about who you were, but who you could be. He shoulders the bag, steps into bright afternoon sunshine. The town spreads before him. Familiar streets now viewed through dual perspective of Caleb's intimate knowledge and Isaac's outsider awareness. Looking back one last time, he sees June framed in the doorway, a moment he commits to memory before, turning toward the bus station and the confrontation awaiting in Chicago. The past and future pull him forward, even as part of him remains behind with the woman who taught him to value present moments above achievements or acquisitions. The moment of truth has arrived. Isaac remembers who he is, but faces a devastating choice. What would you do in his position? Return to power and wealth, or stay in a simple life where you found genuine connection? Share your thoughts below, and if this story has touched you, please consider sharing it with someone who might need to remember what truly matters in life. Carter County's bus station is little more than a covered bench beside the general store. Afternoon sun casts long shadows as Isaac waits, duffel bag at his feet. June stands nearby, maintaining professional composure despite emotions churning. Beneath, passing pedestrians nod to Miss Carter while eyeing Isaac, with curious glances. The lawyer will meet you in Atlanta, June confirms. She'll help establish your identity and access accounts. Isaac nods, watching her focus on practicalities rather than the weight of goodbye between them. Thank you for arranging it. It's what librarians do, she says with a small smile. Connect people with resources. The bus appears at Main Street's far end. Twice daily service connecting Carter County to the wider world. Its approach forces the conversation they've been avoiding. Take my number, Isaac offers, extending a slip of paper. Once things settle in Chicago, June shakes her head. That's not a good idea. Why not? Because Caleb belongs here, she says gently, and Isaac belongs there. Trying to bridge those worlds would only prolong the inevitable. You don't know that. I know that the man returning to claim a billion-dollar empire will be surrounded by complications, politics, people wanting something from him. Her gaze remains steady. What we had was simple, pure. It existed because you had nothing, and I wanted nothing from you. The bus rumbles closer, breaking the quiet. Some people are meant to change us, not stay with us, June continues. You changed me, Isaac. Reminded me that connection doesn't always require sharing a past or future, just an authentic present. Isaac steps toward her, paper still extended. What if I want more than that? Then prove it to yourself first, she challenges quietly. Discover who Isaac is now, after being Caleb, after remembering what matters beyond acquisition and achievement. The bus arrives. The driver begins loading Isaac's bag. Last chance, Isaac says, still holding out the paper. June takes it but doesn't unfold it. Instead, she presses it back into his hand, closing his fingers around it. No shortcuts, she says, softly. If you find your way back here, let it be because you found yourself first. Her wisdom strikes him deeply. Isaac pockets the paper, understanding she's giving him something more valuable than contact information. Space to integrate his fractured selves without premature promises. Through the smudged window, Isaac watches June standing alone, a librarian, who forever altered a billionaire's understanding of value. As the bus pulls away, Carter County recedes like a dream. Yet the lessons learned there remain, challenging him to bring Caleb's heart into Isaac's world. June stays until the bus disappears around the bend. Only then does her composure crack, a single tear quickly brushed away. She turns back toward the library, steps measured and determined. Whitford Technologies headquarters rises 60 stories above Chicago, glass and steel designed to intimidate as much as impress. Isaac stands across the street, studying the building that bears his name, yet feels foreign. 3 days have passed since leaving Carter County. 3 days reclaiming Isaac Whitford's external trappings, tailored suits, designer watch, corporate credentials, while internally navigating the collision between his former self and the man he became in Carter County. Isaac enters the building. That was once his universe's center, dressed in a suit that feels like costume rather than clothing. The security guard glances up disinterestedly. "Can I help you, sir?" Isaac Whitford to see Griffin Whitford. The guard's expression shifts from boredom to confusion. "Sir?" Call Regina Winters from the board. Minutes later, the lobby buzzes with tense energy. Employees stop and stare at the supposedly dead CEO. Regina Winters emerges from the elevator, authoritative, the board's most senior member. Her composure cracks momentarily. "My God, it's really you. Hello, Regina." She recovers quickly. "Welcome back from the dead, Isaac. Perhaps we should continue upstairs." In the executive elevator, Regina studies him. "You look different." Near-death experiences tend to have that effect. It's more than that. You seem lighter somehow. The elevator opens directly into the executive suite. Employees freeze in shock. Isaac moves through the space with deliberate calm. This isn't about spectacle. It's about justice. The boardroom doors stand open. Inside, Griffin conducts a meeting, his back to the entrance. "The medical technology division continues to underperform," Griffin is saying. "We'll begin phased shutdown next month." "I'd reconsider that decision," Isaac says from the doorway. Griffin freezes mid-gesture. When he finally turns, his carefully constructed world visibly collapses. "Isaac?" The name emerges as barely a whisper. "Hello, brother. I believe you're in my chair." Within moments, only the brothers, Regina, and 2 key board members remain. "This is impossible," Griffin manages. "You were dead? That was certainly your intention when you arranged for my car to be forced off the road." Griffin's denial is immediate. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Save it, Griffin." Isaac places a flash drive on the table. "My lawyer has already submitted evidence to the board. Phone records, financial transfers, your contact visiting the hospital." Griffin finds no allies in the board members' neutral expressions. "Why?" Isaac asks simply. Griffin laughs hollowly. "Why? You really need to ask?" He gestures around the room. "This was supposed to be shared, Isaac. Father built this company for both his sons. It would have been if you'd been patient." "Patient? I've been patient my entire life, waiting in your shadow, watching you effortlessly claim everything. I worked twice as hard to achieve. The musical prodigy, the brilliant innovator, Father's obvious favorite. This isn't the calculated rival Isaac expected. This is his younger brother, still wounded by childhood inequities." "I never wanted to eliminate you," Griffin continues, quieter. "Just displace you. The amnesia was perfect, a fresh start, for you somewhere else while I finally had my chance here." Regina interrupts. "The board has voted to reinstate Isaac as CEO, effective immediately." "And criminal charges?" Griffin asks tightly. "That's my decision," Isaac answers. "I've chosen not to pursue them, provided you step down quietly." "Why would you do that?" "Because some things matter more than revenge, and because despite everything, you're still my brother." This statement, impossible for the old Isaac, reveals the first integration of Caleb's compassion with Isaac's authority. "You've changed," Griffin says finally. "Yes," Isaac acknowledges. "Dying has that effect." Camera flashes illuminate the Whitford Technologies lobby. Journalists pack the space, their collective energy generating anticipation. 1 week after his return, Isaac stands at the podium, corporate titan resurrected. His appearance has been subtly altered, suit less severe, posture less rigid, symbolic differences reflecting internal evolution. "Thank you all for coming," he begins steadily. "I recognize this situation's unusual nature." Months ago, he would have delegated this to PR specialists. Today, he speaks directly, a synthesis of Isaac's authority with Caleb's humanity. The facts are straightforward. 3 months ago, I was involved in a serious accident resulting in retrograde amnesia. Without identity or memory, I rebuilt a life in a small town where extraordinary people showed extraordinary kindness. The reporters lean forward, sensing this isn't standard corporate statement. During that time, Whitford Technologies took a concerning direction under interim leadership. I've returned to correct our course and recommit to the vision that built this company. Questions erupt immediately. "Mr. Whitford, can you address rumors that your brother arranged the accident?" An internal investigation is complete. Griffin Whitford has resigned. "We're handling this as a family matter." "Will you pursue criminal charges?" "No, some situations require healing rather than punishment." The reporters exchange glances. This measured response differs from the ruthless executive they remember. "What about the medical technology division?" "Your brother had begun dismantling it." "That decision has been reversed," Isaac confirms. In fact, we're doubling investment in medical innovations." A financial analyst follows up. "That will impact quarterly projections. Shareholders might question such a pivot." Isaac leans forward, his response carrying unexpected passion. "Whitford Technologies was never meant to chase quarterly returns at the expense of meaningful innovation. Anyone who invested solely for short-term gains misunderstood our fundamental purpose." This statement, anathema to his former approach, causes ripples through the financial journalists. "Mr. Whitford, you seem different. Has this experience changed your management philosophy?" Isaac pauses, considering carefully. "When you lose everything, your identity, history, position, you discover what truly matters. I built this company believing success was measured by market capitalization and technological dominance. I was wrong." The room quiets, sensing an unprecedented moment of corporate vulnerability. "I lost everything. But I found something better: perspective. Understanding that innovation without purpose is just novelty. That efficiency without humanity is just mechanization. That success without meaning is just accumulation." Isaac announces the creation of the Whitford Educational Foundation, with an initial $2 billion endowment supporting educational infrastructure in underserved communities, beginning with rural libraries. As the press conference concludes, a young reporter asks condescendingly what it was like living as an ordinary person after being one of America's richest men. Isaac smiles genuinely. "It wasn't ordinary at all. It was extraordinary, because I experienced value that can't be quantified on a balance sheet. Isaac stands alone in his new penthouse, 40 floors above Chicago. Unlike his previous residence, sold during his absence, this space remains largely unfurnished. Floor-to-ceiling windows frame the city skyline. 2 weeks have passed since his return. The business world has accepted his return, the stock stabilizing after initial volatility. Yet, standing in this empty space, Isaac feels his victory's hollowness. The penthouse echoes with each footstep, expensive emptiness. He watches the city. Below. Before the accident, this view represented achievement, elevation above the masses. Now it feels like isolation. Moving through barren rooms, he confronts the question haunting him since returning: how to bring Caleb's genuine connection to Isaac's necessary responsibilities. In the kitchen, he finds a single unpacked box, books rescued from his former residence. He lifts one, Frankel's Man's Search for Meaning, a deliberate echo of the first book June placed in his hands. The memory jolts him from contemplation to clarity. Isaac calls his assistant despite the late hour. Jennifer canceled tomorrow's meetings. And contact storage. I need something delivered immediately. The next morning, movers deliver his father's white grand piano, placed in storage years ago when Isaac decided its presence distracted from his minimalist aesthetic. The instrument now dominates the empty penthouse. By evening, the piano has been tuned. Isaac sits at the bench as sunset paints empty walls with amber light. His playing begins tentatively, technical skill intact but emotional connection developing. Then his hands find the simple folk tune June taught him during the storm. Its uncomplicated structure opens something within him. He begins to improvise around it, adding harmonies and emotional nuance. Hours pass unnoticed as Isaac loses himself in creation rather than recreation, the music becoming a conversation between his divided selves. Rain returns to Carter County. June watches droplets trace patterns on windows Isaac once repaired. The garden outside flourishes despite his absence. A month has passed since his departure. A month of returning to routines that now feel incomplete. Major Wilson shifts uncomfortably across from her desk, an official envelope between them. I fought for you, June, he says with genuine regret, but the county budget can't sustain the building's needs anymore. June reads the notice. Library deemed structurally unsound without major renovations exceeding available funding. Operations to cease within 60 days. This building has stood for 100 years, June says, professional composure slipping. It survived world wars, economic depressions, and now falls to a budget spreadsheet? That evening, community members gather for an emergency meeting. Their generosity warms June's heart while breaking it. Good people offering pennies when hundreds of thousands are needed. After everyone leaves, June remains alone in the darkened library. She moves to the piano, finally allowing herself to play the melody she taught Isaac during the storm. Her phone chimes with an email invitation from the Whitford Foundation for Educational and Cultural Development to an inaugural concert at the Harmony Theater. No mention of Isaac personally, yet his presence resonates in every carefully chosen word. June's finger hovers over delete. The separation she insisted upon was necessary. Yet something in the wording catches her attention. Not a personal plea, but a professional invitation. She closes the email without responding, but doesn't delete it. a bridge she's not yet decided whether to cross. June's wisdom challenges Isaac to prove himself worthy of connection rather than taking shortcuts. Have you ever had to make a difficult choice between two worlds that seemed impossible to reconcile? Or has someone's absence taught you something valuable about yourself? Share your experiences in the comments and hit the notification bell to see if June accepts Isaac's invitation in our final act. Chicago rises around June like a forest of glass and steel, overwhelming after Carter County's modest proportions. Her reflection in the taxi window shows someone both familiar and strange, the small-town librarian dressed for a metropolitan event, simple elegance belying inner uncertainty. The decision to accept the invitation came gradually, curiosity eventually overcoming caution, professional interest in the foundation providing justification for personal risk. Still, as the taxi approaches the theater district, June questions her choice. The Harmony Theater stands apart, a renovated 1920s structure with Art Deco flourishes preserved amid modern updates. Its marquee announces simply, "Inaugural Performance. Private event." June pays the driver and stands before the entrance, gathering courage. The invitation mentioned no specific connection to Isaac, yet his influence is evident in every detail, from the foundation's name to the event's theme, of memory and renewal. Inside, the intimate theater surprises her. Not the grand showcase expected, but a thoughtfully designed space where no seat sits far from the stage. The renovation preserved historical elements while incorporating modern acoustics. An usher guides her toward the front. "Mr. Whitford requested you have this seat." June accepts the program but not the implied special treatment. "I'll sit toward the back, thank you." The program lists original compositions with evocative titles: Fragments, Restoration, Two Selves, and finally, The Grace of June. As house lights dim, June's pulse quickens despite her efforts at emotional distance. A single spotlight illuminates the piano as Isaac emerges, wearing not formal attire but simple dark slacks and white shirt, sleeves rolled to elbows. The casual elegance bridges his dual identities, neither structured CEO nor unassuming Caleb, but someone integrating both experiences. He sits without introduction, hands hovering above keys before beginning the first composition. Fragments starts discordantly. Broken melodies, interrupted phrases, harmonies that search but don't resolve. The music physically embodies cognitive disruption, identity shattered then gradually reassembling. June listens with closed eyes, hearing Isaac's journey articulated more authentically through music than words could achieve. The composition evolves from chaos toward tentative coherence, finding beauty within brokenness. Each subsequent piece charts emotional territory from their shared experience. Restoration incorporates folk themes reminiscent of the library, Garden's revival. Two Selves interweaves contrasting musical languages, classical precision and improvisational freedom, finding unexpected harmony in their integration. Throughout, Isaac never acknowledges the audience. His focus remains entirely internal, not performing but expressing, each note revealing the ongoing dialogue between the man he was and the man he's becoming. As the final piece begins, June recognizes immediately the simple melody she taught, Hymn During the Storm, transformed into something complex yet emotionally direct. The Grace of June builds upon this foundation, exploring variations from melancholy to triumph. The music draws her forward until she stands at the theater's edge, no longer attempting emotional distance. The composition speaks directly to their shared experience, honoring its transformative power without demanding continuation. When the final notes fade, Isaac remains motionless at the piano, head bowed. The audience hesitates, uncertain whether conventional applause suits this unconventional performance. June doesn't wait. She moves silently toward the stage, drawn by something beyond conscious choice. As if sensing her approach, Isaac looks up, their eyes meeting across the narrowing distance. No words pass between them, none adequate for this moment of recognition across worlds once seemingly irreconcilable. The music has already spoken what language cannot express. The theater has emptied. Audience members departed with subdued conversations about what they witnessed. Something more intimate than performance, closer to privileged observation of a personal journey externalized through music. June sits beside Isaac on the piano bench, the instrument between them both bridge and boundary. Neither has spoken yet, silence providing necessary space to navigate this unexpected reconnection. Isaac's hands rest lightly on his thighs, close to the keys but not touching them. The compositions expressed what words might diminish. His transformation articulated through music rather than explanation. The foundation is funding 50 library renovations in rural communities, he says finally, looking at the piano rather than her. Starting with historically significant buildings in economically challenged areas. June nods, understanding this is his way of sharing what he's built from their time together, concrete action rather than abstract sentiment. Carter County wasn't on your list, she observes. Not accusation, just acknowledgement. No, Isaac confirms. I thought you might reject help that seemed personal rather than merit-based. The consideration touches her, his understanding that her pride requires respect rather than rescue. The library received an anonymous historical preservation grant last week, June says, just enough to save the building, maintain the programs. Isaac's expression reveals nothing, but a slight tension in his shoulders releases. Anonymous donors can be surprisingly perceptive about community needs. Their exchange remains careful, professional, personal current flowing beneath carefully contained. Both recognize the deliberate distance they maintain, neither yet ready to collapse it. June studies his profile in the dimmed lighting. Isaac has changed since leaving Carter County, not reverting to his former self, but not remaining Caleb either. Something new has emerged, integration still ongoing but increasingly coherent. The music is beautiful, she says, especially the last piece. Isaac's hand hovers above the keys, not quite touching them. It's unfinished. How so? It needs a counterpoint, he explains. A second voice to complete the conversation. June understands the metaphor but doesn't rush to fulfill it. Instead, she asks, "You remembered the notes?" His hand remains suspended, not playing, not reaching for her. "You were the only part I didn't want to forget." The simple truth breaks through their careful distance. June's hand joins his above the keyboard, not touching, but sharing the same suspended moment of possibility. "Show me," she says quietly. Isaac begins playing the melody from The Grace of June, leaving deliberate spaces within the composition. June watches his hands, understanding the invitation embedded in the musical structure. After several measures, her fingers join his on the keys, tentatively at first, then with growing confidence. Her simpler style complements his technical complexity, adding emotional directness to his nuanced expression. They play together, creating something neither could accomplish alone. The melody evolves organically, each responding to the others. Contributions, building on themes introduced, then transformed. No words pass during this musical conversation, none needed as their hands move in synchronized counterpoint. What began as Isaac's composition becomes their co-creation, no longer his statement to her, but their shared declaration. When they reach natural conclusion, both hold the final chord until it fades into silence. Their hands remain on the keys, physical contact of music-making having bridged careful distance maintained in conversation. "It's complete now," Isaac says softly. June nods, understanding he means more than just the composition. "What happens next?" she asks, the question encompassing everything beyond this moment. Isaac turns slightly toward her. "That depends on what you want." "I want authenticity," June replies without hesitation. "Not promises neither of us can keep, not compromises that diminish either of us." 6 months later, autumn paints Carter County in gold and crimson. The library stands transformed, historic elements lovingly restored, modern amenities thoughtfully integrated. The century-old facade gleams with renewed purpose. Crowds gather for the grand reopening, celebrating not just the building's salvation but its evolution into the Carter County Community Center and Library. The expanded mission reflected in its new name, still primarily a library but now housing educational programs, technology access, and cultural initiatives funded by the Whitford Foundation. June stands on the front steps, scissors in hand for the ceremonial ribbon cutting. As Carter County's newly appointed Director of Library Services, she's overseen every aspect of the renovation, ensuring modern upgrades respect historical integrity, that new programs address actual community needs. Mayor Wilson beams beside, her political fortunes revived by what townspeople call the miracle on Main Street. Behind them, community members who fought to save the library now serve on its expanded volunteer board. Isaac stands slightly apart, present but not claiming, center stage. His foundation provided resources, but the vision and implementation remained firmly in local hands. This approach has become the Whitford Foundation's signature, empowering communities rather than imposing solutions. The Foundation's work has expanded beyond Carter County to dozens of similar projects nationwide, guided by Isaac's corporate efficiency but shaped by June's understanding of what truly sustains communities. A library is more than a building housing books, June tells the gathered townspeople. It's where we discover not just stories written by others, but the story we're writing together. This transformation represents renewed commitment to what connects us: knowledge, creativity, and each other. The ribbon falls to appreciative applause. As people stream into the building, June finds Isaac in the crowd. "Admiring your handiwork?" she asks. "Admiring yours," he corrects. "My contribution was just resources." This, he gestures toward children gathering in the expanded reading nook, seniors exploring the technology center, teenagers discovering the music studio. "This is what you built." Their professional collaboration has evolved over months of working together, June dividing her time between Carter County and Chicago, overseeing foundation initiatives while maintaining local connections. The personal dimension has developed in parallel, neither rushed nor delayed, but allowed to find its natural rhythm. Inside, they move through the transformed space, past the rare book collection now properly preserved, the expanded garden, winterized for approaching season, community meeting rooms already booked months ahead. They end at the reading room, where the old upright piano has been restored rather than replaced, a deliberate choice preserving the instrument that first connected them. A young girl practices scales, small fingers carefully picking out notes under her mother's guidance. Some things shouldn't be completely rebuilt, June observes, just restored to what they were meant to be. Isaac nods, understanding the broader application. Their relationship has found its balance. Neither the innocent connection between June and amnesiac Caleb, nor the impossible gulf between librarian and corporate titan. Instead, something authentic has emerged. Two complete individuals choosing connection rather than needing it. As sunset approaches, they step outside to the garden. Caleb's first project now matured into established beauty. From this vantage, they watch library windows illuminate as dusk deepens, warm light spilling onto the town square. Another sunset, June observes. Isaac's arm circles her waist naturally, their physical ease reflecting emotional authenticity developed over months of careful attention. I count each one now, he says quietly. They matter more than all the empires I built. The simple statement captures his transformation. From man who once dismissed sunsets as common occurrences to someone who recognizes daily miracles. Not through amnesia's forced reset, but through conscious integration of all he's been and chosen to become. The library stands illuminated against gathering darkness, a beacon of possibility for a community renewed, much like the two people who helped save it. Heartfelt thank you and invitation as. Our story of Isaac and June comes to a close. We want to extend our deepest gratitude to you for accompanying them on this journey of rediscovery and transformation. Your presence made this storytelling experience complete. If you found yourself moved by the quiet wisdom of June, inspired by Isaac's courage to integrate his fractured selves, or even understood Griffin's hollow victory, we'd love to have you join our community of storytellers and healers. Subscribe to our channel to receive notifications about upcoming stories that explore the spaces between who we were, who we are, and who we might become. Each tale we share is crafted with the same attention to emotional truth and healing that you experience today.